What's up, guys? It's your girl, Mac Cox, here with Maccouture Crafting. And yes, today we did another 3-yard quilt video. You know, Valentine's Day will be here. I wanted something super duper cute, super duper fast, super duper easy. And this is all those things. And I got a chance to zhuzh it up a little bit by adding some rickrack. And that's something that I never thought about doing before, is adding rickrack to a quilt, but you can totally do it. Adds a little trim, gives it a little something. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. I use a lickety split pattern. It's a very simple pattern. The way that they have you bring it together and the way that I have you construct it is a little bit different. I don't have a huge amount of workspace, so I kind of broke it up into smaller chunks. It means that I had to sew a few more seams, but at the end of the day, I think it came out straighter than it would have had I done it the original way that she says to construct it. And I got really, really happy and decided to throw in a pillow since I overbought fabric as usual. You guys, pillows are my new jam. I think we should do themed pillows from here on out. Like every holiday, we need a pillowcase set because I love them and it's all I want to do now is make pillowcases. All right, so if you want to see how this all comes together, including the pillowcase at the end, please stay tuned. Bye-bye. So this is an interesting dilemma. I saw this fabric and I had to have it. And I don't know why, but I kept staring at it and I'm going to do something with it. And I am, but I just have no idea why on earth I picked these. And so I'm like, all right, well, we'll do a 3-yard quilt with it, no worries. They all coordinate, and instead of just buying 3 yards, I ended up buying 4. And I'm not quite sure how I want to use it. So I've put this with this, and I know that I want to add rickrack just to show the versatility of a 3-yard quilt, what we want to play with, that kind of thing. So I know that even though this is a Valentine's Day fabric, this is something that I could possibly use for another project, a little something. So I don't have to use that one. These two fabrics here basically look the same. I can tell the difference, but I kind of was drawn to the fact that this looks like Valentine's Day just threw up all over the fabric. I do. So I think what I'm going to do is actually use these two fabrics with this guy, with this rickrack. I think that's going to make something kind of interesting. And I won't feel bad about saving this because I can actually use this. There's no way in the world that I'm going to be able to use these two probably for anything other than Valentine's Day. Well, yeah, probably not. I wouldn't use these for anything else, but I just had to have them. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens when we put them together for this pattern called Lickety Split. And it is in the Fast and Fun, and I think this one might be available for download. We'll see. So I'm going to do the fabric number 3 is going to be the polka dot, and then we'll use fabric 1 and 2, which will just alternate, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. This will probably be my busiest quilt to date. So this is pretty much the quilt, which is nice and simple. However, the way that she has us constructed, I could get very, very wonky very quickly. So what she asks us to do is sew these two together. So you're going to take fabric A, fabric B, fabric A, fabric B, fabric A, fabric B, sew them all together so that you have 6 of these in one stack. Then the other one you're going to start with B, A, B, A, B, A. That kind of setup, see? So here you'll go, you start with fabric A, B, that kind of thing, and then you'll start with BA so that you just have these strips. But this would be a very long strip and then subcut that.
I think what I'm going to do is sew these up in maybe sections of 3 and cut them. And just so that I'm on my mat, I'm not having to fold them in half and hope that it's lined up. I just think it's a safer way. I think that's what I'm going to do. Otherwise, I'd have to be able to fold this in half and be sure that it's right on the money, and I just don't know that that's where my strengths are. So I think I better stick to what I know and just run these together and then sew them. It'll be a few more seams and not nearly as fast, but I think it'll be a little bit more accurate. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. All right, so now I've got this one and then this one. So there's 3 here, and then I've got this one and this one. So I know they look very, very similar, but where you see the ones with these big turquoise boxes is a different fabric. I know they look similar, but there's 3 panels of this one, and then there's 3 of this one, and I'm going to go on ahead and cut these to the dimensions that they need to be for these strips. Then I'm going to sew them together, because again, I just think they would be so wonky if I cut them the way that the directions say, which is just to sew all these together, and that's going to make a really long strip, and I just don't trust it. So I'm going to cut these down, and then I'm going to sew them together in long chains, and then I'll add those strips. Let's do it. So there are 2 different colorways here, and you might not be able to tell. I can tell this is a lot going on, but I still like it because it's so very Valentine's Day, which is a cute, kind of cool, pretty, graphic kind of holiday. Anyway, I'm taking these strips that I just cut, and I'm just sewing them end to end so that I get a really nice long strip without trying to cut it the way that I was talking about before. So just sewing these end to end to make one long strip, and I'm doing 3 of them in the strips, and then we'll just put some sashing in between and then put the border on, and this quilt will be done. Okay, so now that these 2 strips, they're different. I know they look similar, but they are different. These 2 are different. And so now we are going to grab one, sew this strip down, then attach this one. Then do the same thing until we've done it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So I need 5 of these strips. I've just sewn a long strip together, and I'm going to sew down and then cut it at the end. Sew down, cut it at the end, and just keep going. And this should only take me a few minutes to do. And I have them all nice and separated. All these blocks are over here, and all these blocks are over here. And you can figure out which one you want to go first. You just have to be consistent. So the quilt is all pieced together. The inside, I haven't added that final thick border yet. I ran to the store and picked up some really thick rickrack. I actually got this from my local quilt store, and it was only $1. I want to say $1.25 a yard. If you buy this from Joann's, you're looking at about $4 a yard, so you might want to use a coupon on that. I am going to do the sides first. So where they have taped it right here, I am going to place it on the side, and I'm going to make sure that this bump is lined up with the edge, and I'm going to do a basting stitch. So I'm just going to do a really long stitch. I'm probably going to put it to like 6.0, and I'm just going to baste it down this side here, And then when I go ahead and do the, I could push it back a little bit, but I think I can be more accurate with the bump right here so that we get a lot of this rickrack on this quilt, just to add a little fun extra something, because everything is in here but the kitchen sink anyway. We put everything in this quilt. This is a lot going on, but it's cute and it's Valentine's Day, so it's appropriate. Let's do it. So it came out really pretty. I like it. I like that you can see it's like a little peekaboo here. You could have certainly moved this back so that you don't see any of that, but I like it this way. It pressed out very, very nicely. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, which is line this up, do a basting stitch, then go on ahead and take the border strip and put it right sides together. Change your stitch, don't forget, back to a 2.5 or 2.0, however you sew, and then press it back, and we will have added some rickrack, and then I'll do the same thing to the top.
So for this, I am making sure that the rickrack is sealed, because those edges, you don't want them to come apart. But be sure that you do all of your rickrack before putting on your border. Do all the rickrack, and then be sure that any place where you cut it, you just go back 1/8 of an inch and do some stay stitches super tight, you know, on like a 2.0 so that they don't unravel. Here starts the journey of pillows. You guys never, ever, ever should have let me figure out that I enjoy doing pillows, because now we're not doing any more quilts. We're doing all pillows because they are so, so, so much fun. This is a 1-yard cut that I decided that I wasn't going to use, and I was like, oh, well, I will just put it to the side and use it on another project. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. There's too much fabric in the world. I keep buying fabric. You keep buying fabric. Let's just use this for this project. So we're going to do a coordinating pillow. So I just went ahead and trimmed that all up to 36 inches, the actual full yard. And then I decided that I want to use this guy. I thought I was going to use it as a cuff, changed my mind because I do want to kind of keep a little bit of this. Doesn't this look like a me print? So I decided to use this as the embellishment strip. And we'll do this fabric as a cuff, and we will donate the rest of that fabric because nobody's going to revisit this fabric. I don't know what I was thinking, but I love it, but we don't need to revisit this. So that's going to be the cuff. I've laid it out face up. It's 9 inches. And this is a king size pillow, so the dimensions of that are 36 by 36 by 44 that you need to use. So it's a big guy. And I didn't care which direction these arrows were facing. We will address that on another video. Actually, the next video after this that'll be coming this week. So then you just roll up the fabric and you pull up that cuff to meet all the edges. We're using the burrito sausage magic pillow method. It's the one method that everybody uses, that everybody has decided to rename. Call it a Mac pillow now. Just kidding. So you're going to pull it all up. Make sure that they're all caught in there. This is the important part. You do not want to have to unpick this. You don't want to have to unroll it. Just be sure that you get them all straight and lined up. You want to be sure to catch it. It's a very forgiving kind of pillow, so don't be so concerned that everything is perfect, but you do want to be sure here that you've got a nice 1/4 inch seam and that all the fabric is being caught, all the layers. It's a lot of layers, but make sure that they're all being caught. And you just take your burrito and sew down the side. Again, this is a very quick video. My next video will go into detail about how to really make a pillow. After your burrito is sewn, trim your extra threads, and then you're gonna just pull everything out and turn this inside out. Oh, so much fun, so finished, so couture. I just love it. It's very luxurious, these pillowcases, and pillowcases never dawned on me. Like it just never dawned on me, which is great because now I can use up all this fabric that I have. Look at that super harsh line down the center. Don't you just hate when your fabric does that? I figured out how to get rid of it. I'm going to show you a video about how to get rid of those super stubborn, super creased indentations, those marks. So now I am just giving it a press because 9 times out of 10 after you sew something you need to press it. And then you just fold it in half. Make sure your sides meet. And we're doing French seams because again we like our things to be luxurious. And I'm making sure that these meet at the side there. You want to be sure to do that. And then just pin your corner together so that it all comes together properly. And I'm throwing another couple of pins in here just so that it looks nice and it looks neat. Just for good measure. This is the long side. And you only need to sew 2 sides of this pillow because you've just rolled it in half. And again, this is a very large pillow. This is a king size pillowcase. Now with a 1/4 inch seam, don't worry about trying to do an 1/8 inch seam here. We'll fix that in a minute because we're doing French seams. I put the wrong sides together, guys. You see that? The wrong sides are touching. That's not usually what we do. And we are sewing a seam. Oh my goodness, we have a sewn seam on the outside of our pillowcase. Whoa. Be careful when you hit that bulk there. Your machine might be a little angry about it, so you might have to give it a little encouragement, but it'll all work itself out. Now that you have sewn that 1/4 inch seam, you're going to go around and just take off 1/8. So you're going to leave 1/8. It's going to be very, very small. It'll be secure. Don't worry. I think you should also use a smaller ruler when you're doing this, just in case it wasn't the most consistent 1/4 inch seam. But again, you're just going to take off just 1/8 and you're leaving 1/8. Do not nick where you have just sewn. Nice and easy here. The pillow is almost done. You can totally see the pillow is pretty much come together already. But your next step after doing this, it's kind of thick right there, so I had to give it a little seesaw action, is going to be turn it inside out and then poke out your corners and roll out your seams. And after we sew, what do? We always press. So I'm just going to poke these out with my Clover point turner. Love the point turner for corners. I don't necessarily love it for pushing out the seams. For whatever reason, the purple thing for pushing out seams works the best. So then I gave that a press. Now we're going to go sew another 1/4 inch seam. Sew off the sides, you guys. Just go ahead and start off and sew off. And then rotate it. I did a lock stitch. It's just good measure to do a little lock stitch. You're going to be putting some pressure on this. And if you're going to be washing these, I really think that you should do French seams so that you don't have any raw edges on the inside. And after you do that, you've sewn, you're going to flip it right side out. You're going to take it to the pressing machine, and voila, you have a beautiful couture themed pillowcase. That's all I want to do, guys. That's it. That's all I want to do from here on out. Push out those corners, give it a press, your pillowcase is done, and it's fast. If you like this video, please consider checking out my others. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.